and welcome back to the Cat Scrappiness YouTube channel. My name is Marla and I'm with Matt about cards and crafts. Today we'll be creating this slimline card featuring products from the Cat Scrappiness store. All of the products that I'm using will be listed in the description box below. I'm starting with Lola the Giraffe. I'll be using the 2 butterflies. From Stewart The Sloth, I'll be using the large butterfly and the floral. This is Quokka'n Up, and I'll use both of the florals from this. I'm going to tie my card up nicely with wrapped in a bow. So let's jump into the project. I have a piece of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock that's been cut to 8 1/8 by 3 1/8. And I am using some Memento Tuxedo Black ink to stamp out the butterfly from Stewart The Sloth. This is the largest image that I have out of all of these small images. One of the things that I like to do when I receive a stamp set is I like to look at the accessory images. A lot of times these images get neglected, not used at all, forgotten, and I like to see how I can use them and stretch my stamps. I want to get back to the card real quick. You see that I got a little bit of ink on that card panel. I am going to, off camera, use my white gel pen and I will just color over that. That is a quick fix for something like that. And so anyway, back to the accessory pieces. I like to figure out ways that I can get more use out of my stamp sets, and these all come with those accessory pieces. They are all based on Australian animals, so the drawings have all been created by the same artist, which makes all of the little pieces easy to cross with each other's stamp set. Here I'm using a micron pen and I am darkening up the spots where I may have misstamped or not got as crisp of an image as I wanted to. So that's another trick that you can use when you're stamping. That micron pen does work well with my Copic markers. So since these are all from the same illustrator, I decided to use all of these small pieces and create a beautiful background. These are the Copic markers that I'm using that I shared on screen. My first combination, I'm going to show you just a little bit of coloring, is G14, 17, and 19. I laid down the G14 where the leaf meets the petals. I use a G19 and I blend that out with a G17. For the petals of my flower, I'm laying the RV29 down where all of the petals are overlapping. I blend that out with an RV25, and then finally where the white space is, I use the RV23. I do go over this combination twice. Some of the combinations I don't need to, but I really wanted to get that RV29 depth into the folds of the petals. So if you haven't subscribed to the Cat Scrappiness channel, we would absolutely love for you to subscribe and ring the bell so that you're notified whenever we do upload a video. Here I'm going into my next combination. This is going to be the butterflies. I'm starting in the center and I'm using RV69 as my darkest colors, and then I'm using RV66, and finally I finish up with an RV63. So I started in the center and it's going to be lightest at the tips of each of the butterflies, I should say. Now you see that there's lots of white space. I will go back in off camera. I just wanted to give you the gist of what I'm doing with this panel. I wanted to make sure that I leave plenty of white space. I don't want to immediately put all of my stamps so close together that I end up with a lopsided composition. So it's much easier to fill in and leave some white space than it is to stamp too closely together at first. For these florals, I am using a B combination. My darkest color at the bottom is B69. I blend that out with B66. Finally, I come in with B63. For all of the leaves, I use that same combination. So this floral also has leaves on it. So I use the G14, 17, and 19. For the center of the lily, there's a stamen coming out. And for the center of the pink, the reddish pink flower, I do use G14 to color that in. It's a very tiny spot on both of those florals. Here's a combination that I didn't share in the beginning. These are my YR markers, and I'm going to use YR 4, 7, and 9. I will start with my darkest color, which is the YR9, blend it out with the 7 and the 4, but I'm finding that I'm not getting the contrast that I really want. So I will color a couple more and decide to come in with a fourth marker. I'll use a YR18 and just add a little bit of depth to the center of these lilies. All right. Moving right along, I'm going to start on the butterfly. For the outer edges of the butterfly's wings, I'm using RV66, and I'm only using that one color around the edge. I'll bring in the B63 and I'll realize that the color is just a little too flat. I wasn't going to do a lot of ink blending on the butterfly, but as I said, it was a little bit flat, so I will end up bringing in the B69, which was my darkest color on those florals, and I will add it to the center and draw out with the lighter color. So here's where it's flat. Here's where I bring in the B69, and then I'm going to blend it out again with the B63. And from here on out, I will start with the B69 and then I'll blend it out. So that'll give me just a little bit more dimension and depth on those butterflies. I am going to be using a black glaze pen as well as a number 10 white gel pen on this project. So here is the wrapped in a bow. I'm going to take the RV25, which was one of the colors that I used on the red pink floral, and I'm going to use the chisel tip and color my bow up. So this is going to be a perfect match for my pattern paper. You'll see that there's some spots that I don't get a great saturation, so I just go back over it and you'll see that it straightens that right out. Right here, I'm noticing that it's just not as dark, and so I just add a little bit more. There are two little pieces in this set over to the left that you can see. Those make what appear to be loops in the bow, and for that I used a lighter shade, which was the RV23, and I'm going to color up both of those, and then I'll take the knot and use the same RV25 to color up the knot. Then I'm going to place them on the bow, figure out where I want them. I do use my Cat Scrappiness embellishment tool. I absolutely love that. They are available in the store as well as replacement tips. So if you're not a fan of the black tip, she is now carrying the white tip in the store as well, which is available. So I'll place everything where I want them, and then I'm going to glue down those two loop pieces. And I like to take that center knot and I like to pop it up. I don't know, it's my thing. I just really like that dimension on the center knot of the bow. So I will use a piece of a foam square that I have cut down. I don't cut it down quite enough, so I am going to have to go back in and trim it out just a little bit, but I just think that that little added dimension is awesome. So I'm looking at it, making sure it's the color that I like. I'm a pink girl, so I'm really happy with the way that the bow has turned out. We're going to add that little bit of foam tape right here. And I'll see that it's kind of like peeking out from the left side when I turn the card, and I don't like that. I want to make sure that it's fairly seamless and you don't see that foam tape. See how you can see it? I'm going to lift it up, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim it down just a little bit more, and I'm going to like that so much better. I'm going to add a little bit more to this background to fill in some of those white spots, or those white spaces, I should say. But first I'm going to use my glaze pen, and I'm going to add some accents to the butterfly and add some dots to the pink floral. And I'm going to use the black gel pen to deepen the body of my butterfly. And here's where I'm adding the black gel pen. So I'm just taking little bits, little dots. I'm just making little dots all over so that I get a little bit of a polka dot pattern. And that is really going to make all of the images pop even more and add just a little bit more dimension to that background. So it was falling a little bit flat with just the white, but these dots, I think, really added to it. Tell me what you think. Did you think that the white background was better, or do you prefer it with the little addition of the polka dots? Here, I'm going to accidentally set that down a little too early. I turned my card panel over because I did rip my paper a little bit. I have 1/8 of an inch white border all the way around. I'm going to add my bow to the back of this. And as I said, I did stamp my sentiment off camera. It is from my stash, and that is going to be my card for the day. I really appreciate you taking time to watch. I will have a close-up look of the card. I do use my T-square ruler to line this sentiment up. I want to thank you again for watching. I hope that you have a fabulous day. Next week is going to be the new release for Cat Scrappiness. Join us.